各位，好久不见了，Hisashibuli. Long time no see. Glad to be back. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. I'm just here taking a day off at home location, a new location in the house. This is my first, I think, real live stream from home. And you probably saw the thumbnail. And, like before I start off, okay, guys, now, if you're here to vent about Trump, Harris, or the state of the U.S., I suggest that you find a different place to express yourself, okay, your feelings, because, while complaining is sometimes, undesirable, right? Truly making a difference is more important, if you just spend so much time complaining. Truly making a positive difference in a nation requires more than just babbling your big mouth and complaining. Okay, so if this is you, you can just move right along. Okay, now this is quite important to me, especially where I'm located here in Taiwan, because, well, just look at it from the other side. Both candidates, carried heavy loads. That really outweighed their strengths. Right. And both candidates, they lacked what many commentators would call that so-called appropriate presidential package to be not only leader of the United States, but also of a free world. Now, this is something to think about. Right. And, this is something that those who live outside the United States were paying a particular type of attention to. And I say a particular type of attention to. Right now, we know, most of us know Trump. We know what he's about. And, me being a New Yorker, I really know what he's about, because I can remember the days when Ronald Reagan became president. I was at my coach's house, and I remember that night, and we got the results of, who won the election, and Reagan was declared president. And I remember our coach, he's a well-known coach, in especially upstate New York. I remember he got a phone call from another coach friend. No, I think it was a teammate. And he said, "This what you get for, not paying attention." I remember he got that phone call, and he looked at me, and the guy on the phone, I'm not sure who it was, but I knew it was one of his schoolmates. It's from a school that he went to. And this still stays in the back of my mind. I still remember those days. And, when I look at what's happening today, like I said, being in New York, I know what Trump is about. And, I remember the days back when, the Central Park Five were put in prison, and Trump posted something in the newspaper that said, we should, do away with people like this. And what happened? Years later, we find out that the 5 young men were innocent. How many more innocent people will be put in jail just because a person like Mr. T, who is a smart man, said something like that? Now, I'm not here to talk about him, at least not in this episode. Now, going back and seeing what happened in the States, and Biden stepping aside, which was the best thing, Harris spent most of her time just spreading kumbaya moments all over the place. Her record didn't supply her with the needed momentum to overcome the high polls that were placed in front of her. She had a lot of political high polls to get over, and she hit every one of them. I mean, she did mention things about her concerns about reproductive rights, gun control, immigration, climate change. But she never invested significant amount of time, portion of her time delivering, how would you say, solid or implementable plans to obtain certain goals. these kumbaya moments that she went around with, they were obviously primarily focused at fostering a sense of optimism, and well-being that really didn't have much of any concrete substance. This is it. And it just didn't pick up the momentum. And there are some reasons why, that pretty logical reasons why. She offered like very few detailed positions or even policies that she could or would implement, or possible she could implement, regarding U.S. citizens, or something that can improve citizens' financial health, physical health, or whatever, environmental health. Nor did she mention what would she or could she do to deter America's aggressors. She mainly focused on, in one comment, I think, she focused on, a question was asked, well, what does you think is the most important, or some important thing for the U.S. to do? This is Iran. Well, I live out here in Taiwan, and from the platform I'm standing from, a lot closer than Iran. You know, like I said, America, we know Trump very, very well. And regardless if you're for or against him, you know that Trump has a habit of not telling the truth. You know that's a fact. And if you think I'm wrong, prove it to me. Because you either saying, well, no, I don't want to hear. No. Just have a, if you're here just to beat your chest like King Kong and jump up and down like James Brown, move right along, because you just embarrass yourself. Now, for somebody who's grabbing people by the cat, what he's going to do once he get into office. He's going to pardon himself, maybe. I would say most likely, because we know all those charges that were flamed against him, he's going to extinguish them, him or his cronies or surrogates. And this is the fact. And if you can tell me otherwise, he won't. You think he'll let people who oppose him, I don't care what Democrats you want to call them, you think he'll let them put him in jail? To tell the truth, if I was president, I would probably do the same thing. But this is the reality we're in today, right? So, but look, let me back off, because I'm more like beating my chest right now. But I don't want to do that today. I'm just enjoying my coffee, right? I'm sitting here today writing a script that, let me back up a little bit. I do a lot of this, and this is not even, how would you say, I'm not breaking any YouTube barriers here that causes me that would put me in a position to have people giving me super chats. Right now I'm ghost talking, right? But I do this to get things out of my mind and on paper, so maybe I can look at it later. I do look at it later, but it's a sense of self-reflection. Unfortunately, I'm around people, mostly locals here, that are too busy doing what they got to do to survive. And some of the expatriates who live out here, who have made Taiwan their home, are absorbed in their local family or single, whatever. But I see a lot of them, especially Americans I'm talking about, they do have some concerns when the topic is brought up. You can just see it in the face. Those who do speak about it have come from an angle almost like myself. But there are several, although very few, those who really supported what Mr. T was standing for, who's now 47. But now, at least two of them admitted to me they may have made a mistake because they're out here. Of course, those expats, especially Americans who live out here, we get messages from friends and family back home that says, you don't understand what it's like back here. You're right, you're right. But they don't understand what it is out here. Because me being here in Taiwan, which is a very important key for the rest of the world, if what Taiwan is good at is disrupted, I'm talking about chips and things like that, the whole world will be in trouble. You'd be shooting yourself in the foot. Now, let me back up from talking about Mr. T and talk a little bit about what I listed in the title. Because, you know, it is known that, you know, Mr. T has some resentment. Oh, wait a minute, let me back up. Yeah, I'm writing a script that I'm going to put on another channel that I've tried to run with a bunch of local guys, expatriates here in Taiwan that failed, called Taiwan Blend. Taiwan Blend. And luckily, I've got enough encouragement from a friend of mine who gave up his U.S. citizenship to become Taiwanese. He gave up his U.S. citizenship, 被领养, adopted from a family, and even did military service here. He encouraged me to at least say something. Yes, a lot of my stuff is scripted because I'm one of these people that if I say something in a live stream and I forget to say it and watch the release or what I live stream later, I feel like an idiot because it makes me feel that, oh, I forgot to say this, I forgot to say that. That's why I do most of the things I do on particularly this channel as, you know, scripted, because I'm afraid to forget anything I want to say. Even then, when I script things and think I got it down pat and ready to release it and record it and edit it and post it, it's always something I forget. At the end, I say, oh, I forget to say it. I forgot. Oh, boy. Oh, guy. But Taiwan Blend, at least I'm going to be restarting it. I've really tried doing it with locals here, but it failed. But you know, it takes time to plan, write, record, edit. I do everything myself. Translate. A lot of translation is manual, is not AI or whatever you want to call it. But it's more like it's a therapy in some ways. Which, is it fun sometimes? Yeah, it is fun sometimes. But it is a type of therapy. But going back, what I was originally want to say is that, you know, you saw the thumbnail. Yeah, going back to Trump, you know, he has a history with mentioning Taiwan in certain comments, right? He made some remarks, and I'll put this in the stream. I'm going to hopefully post up at the end of next week or whatever, or in the middle. You know, Trump has a history about talking about Taiwan, right? And he stated that at one point that Taiwan was an economic adversary and that Taiwan took away America's semiconductor industry. Now, is this really true? Is this really true? And just think about it now. If you remember, I don't know if any of you ever saw a program I did called about a car manufacturer, a company that made windshields for cars in America. Went out of business. American businessman was taken over by China. Not China, the government, or at least somebody who was connected with the government, but a person who was ex-Chinese military, a businessman who restarted the factory. I forgot, it was about a movie. I think it was produced or backed in some way by Obama, his company. The glass factory was reborn, jobs came back when it was coming from China, and they were doing very well. But then complaints start happening. China's taking our jobs. Well, let's face it, China, Taiwan, whoever it is, production in the United States is high. A lot of rules and regulations do slow things down. Come on, that's the truth. High cost of living in the United States is sometimes high cost because of local restrictions, requirements, and whatever. But you see, investors want a very high return on their 报酬率, their return on investment. They'd rather have low cost, well-educated workers instead of workers who are, here we go, this is going to slap me, unionized, overly unionized, politicized, and workers who are very opinionated. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that unions are useless, because they surely aren't. Because we know what those in manufacturing can sometimes do to workers that affect their mental health, physical health, whatever. And that's the truth. There has to be some kind of 评量, some kind of evening there that has to be done. But once again, let me not go into that connection. And also, Mr. T, 47, Future 47, also talked about something that Taiwan should be paying the United States for: protection. Remember the movie Bodyguard? Should be paying the U.S. for protection. This is kind of scary, huh? And protection from what? From Taiwan's next door neighbor. I just hope that Mr. T can remember that when he was elected president the first time, then President Taiwan called him to congratulate him. And he accepted the call. And he got a lot of poo-poo for it. But in his way of speaking, in true Trump fashion, I like to always say, he defended his call. And he said, I quoted it, I think I was saying something that the U.S. sells billions of dollars of military gear to Taiwan, and he can't accept the congratulatory call. I agree with him on that. And of course, like anything else, the next door neighbors, let's see which way, yeah, that way, had something to say. Now, okay, I'm digging too much in this hole. But just talking about something that is recent, okay? And, this raises some concern about the bromance Mr. T has with Elon Musk. A bromance. I mean, they're so much like each other in many ways, because they both had a relatively interesting type of head start. Very interesting head start both these guys had. And usually when you're young, you have a head start. Think about most of the leaders in industry and politics. Most of them had some kind of head start. Whether because it runs in the family, political, financial, housing, mining. People like that usually have a very good springboard that helps them, 这种跳板, 让他们跑前走. It gives them the propulsion to move forward in some ways. And if they are aggressive in that type of environment, maybe they'll have the type of family upbringing, or what they say, 培养, that keeps them in a certain shape. And because maybe the environment they're in and being around people who had certain experience in a certain field, they get a different type of education that they don't teach regular folks in school. What kind of things? Finance management. Business communication skills. People who come from that kind of environment, they're not teachers per se, like the ones we have in school, whether they are right wing, left wing, something wing, or Democrat or Democrat. I mean, I like to bring up this example. Would you rather have someone who started a business but failed two other businesses talking to you and telling you about business, or somebody who's teaching business in school who has never started a business? I want the first one. 往前走吧。气死吧。哇，不该因素的感觉。Just move right along. But going back to Mr. Musk, you can't deny that, he's a bright man, eccentric, lives a cool lifestyle. How many kids he has? But I also detect that he has some kind of hate in his heart. I'm worried about Mr. T and Elon Musk's relationship, romance. People admire Elon Musk for what he has accomplished. Where I come from, people admire Trump for certain things he has accomplished. I mean, I come from the days when in rap music, you would hear rap songs about how much Trump is a gangster. 房地产流氓. But look at it today, where I'm talking about African Americans this time, who don't have any type of recognition or knowledge of what happened when Mr. T was really building Trump Tower. I mean, I would like to meet him one day. I mean, I was very close to him physically at a particular time. Maybe I'll mention that in a later episode somewhere. But I would like to ask him a few questions. And I'm sure I will be a lot more direct than Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan did not ask a lot of questions. That really dropped him down on my payanbang, my list. But moving right along. It's kind of hot in here. It's about 26 degrees Celsius here right now. This time at night. Almost 8:30. Let's move right along now. Yeah, I remember rap songs. You're talking about they want a gangster like Trump. And I see watching programs and reading articles about African Americans, Black Americans in the South who do support Trump. Oh, he's going to give us reparations. Oh, goodness. Okay. Let me back out of this. Not going there. Let's get back over to Elon Musk. Smart guy. But I detect that Elon Musk has some hate in his heart. Maybe especially after knowing that one of his sons, in his words, is dead. She transitioned. I detect that. I can sometimes see it in his face. But I think because Elon Musk is a long-term strategist, much like Trump, he must have known that he would be rewarded by being a Trump surrogate. I'm not saying lackey, because I don't think he really is. I think he designed his relationship, romance with Mr. T, because he knew by being a surrogate, he would benefit a lot. Now, keep in mind that he took over Twitter, now called X. Very interesting, he used the word X. I wonder if Elon Musk knows anything about Malcolm X. But I think Elon Musk, his long-term strategy was to control a platform. No, maybe not control, but have access to a platform under the disguise of freedom of speech to build up a certain type of rally that would support the policies, practices that could benefit him in the future. Remember, he said he was willing to take out the kitchen sink, and he fired people on a whim at Twitter, formerly called X. And he didn't give a whatever about telling people to go themselves. You know, he said, go fishing. Yes, with yourself. You can't, he said, you can't threaten him with advertising, money. Okay. No, that's why I moved over to Blue Sky. Moving right along. But this is something that we all need to be concerned about. Now, how does this connect with those of us here in TW, in Taiwan? You see, during Mr. T's his second bid at becoming president, his second presidential run, Trump and Elon Musk had communications with Vladimir Putin, his first name, Putin, the president of Russia. Should I call him president or czar or whatever? But before Trump won the election, both Trump and Elon Musk had these conversations with Putin. Okay, so far so good, right? Well, nobody should restrict you. I should be allowed to talk to Putin. I should be allowed to talk to Kim Jong-il. I should. Why not? They speak English. Kim Jong-il, he studied in Sweden, I think. And he has a friend with Xiao Chou. What's this called? Rodman. Clown. But the scary thing is that during one of Musk and Putin's conversation, Putin and Musk's conversation, Putin requested to Musk to not turn on Starlink over Taiwan as a favor for his friend Xi Jinping. And this is something Taiwan legislators and lawmakers should be concerned about and they should be speaking a lot louder about. And this is worrisome. Starlink is turned on over Ukraine, is being used by its military to keep them afloat, to help them survive. And this is very interesting. So why isn't Starlink, as of this recording, hasn't been turned on over the Republic of China? This is a question. I wouldn't call this beating anyone's chest, but we should ask that question. And what's even disturbing at a different point is that a lot of the components made for SpaceX, Musk, a lot of the components are made right here in Taiwan. One company is about, if I run there, it will take me about 10 minutes to run to where, that's right, I'm that close to one of the manufacturing centers of SpaceX satellite parts, right near where I'm sitting behind now. They were requested by SpaceX, EM, to request it, more like force. They were requested to move productions for the products, tools, chips, motherboards, 主机板, move it out of Taiwan and both China too. That's if they want to keep their contracts, their healthy contracts. And this was made public. It was a public announcement even before the recent US election. Questions need to be asked. Yes, a lot of you who live outside of Taiwan, US, I do understand. I can understand you feel, because I still have contacts with friends back home. And I do understand sometimes when people are hungry and they feel they have no other way to go, no direction, no other place they can go, no back out, no emergency strategy or policy. They do things that are sometimes like shooting themselves in the foot or taking some medicine that is bad for them, but hopefully will help them survive, live the next day. This is something to think about. It also now, at this time, could the communications Mr. T and EM had with Putin, could that be considered as treason? Who knows? This is something. And could Elon Musk and Putin's interactions in some way not only hurt Taiwan, but also America? This is something that you back home, my home nation, Taiwan is my adopted nation, should think about. Should think about. Because Taiwan is thinking about it. And maybe Taiwan is shooting itself in the foot by purchasing so many Tesla automobiles. It's like trying to solve a problem by financing the problems that are causing you problems. That is shooting yourself in the foot for real. But let me wrap it up here, because, the purpose of this live stream, which if it's something welcoming that people are willing to spend time to listen to, I want to reach out to people who have connections with people here in Taiwan or the region. Taiwan is a place of people who are just want to move forward, work hard, and they've been through a lot. They've been through their own local revolution and have survived. It's hard to know what a nation of people would do when they're pressed against the wall, right? This US election is crazy. And, I do want to reach out to those who have connections here in Taiwan, and especially to foreign expats here in Taiwan. You know, especially those who aren't citizens of Taiwan. I hope that this when I'm talking about this message gives you something to talk about in your future conversations with both people here in Taiwan and people back home. I really do that. Hope that Trump and Musk can do great things for America, my friends, family back there, and even the world. But most of all, I just hope that the two in their bromance don't abandon Taiwan. Here at Four Seas One Family, I just try my best to get people to think about, beyond their idiosyncrasies and prejudices. Because I know what prejudice is from being back home. I know what I face prejudice out here in Asia. But I was able to build communications that I know anytime I can get on the phone, call one of my local 兄弟们. They'll be here in half an hour. They need me. I have that kind of relationship, both here in Taiwan, Japan, Korea. I'm lucky. And for those who look like me, sound like me, who are doing anything to ruin the perception of people like us, move right along, because you are worthless. Okay, look. Thank you for joining me here at Four Seas One Family and giving me time to speak. And like I always say, stay strong, safe, and healthy wherever you are in the world, because we really do have a lot more in common than we think. I'm going to have some more coffee, and I'm going to go to the gym. Luckily, I have a 24-hour gym here, one of the best gyms I've ever been to, especially including some of the Olympic-style gyms. Coffee's good before a workout. Take care, everybody. 保重啊，记得往前走. So let me shut down. Peace.